Good evening. I normally don't come to you at night, um, but as I teach more and more about disruption, navigating storms, disruption, challenges, and changes, it makes me fully aware of kind of the constant disruption that exists in all of our lives. Disruption of chaos in the morning, disruption of getting off schedule, disruption of traffic or someone pulling into you. And then, of course, the more major disruptions in our organizations when there's a takeover or when we own our own company and sales are down and expenses are up, or personally with relationships or our health. There's so many disruptions in life. And so I was laughing this morning and I decided to hop on here tonight to talk about it because yesterday I was like, we're back at the Villages, which is kind of our safe house. We live on Fort Myers Beach, but due to the massive disruption of Hurricane Ian and the slowness of any restoration or rebuilding, it is not safe nor uplifting to live at the beach at the time. And rent in Florida was outrageous. So we decided it was better to buy a place and use it as a rental um, during the snowbird season and live here during the hurricane season. So that is what we're doing if you are still confused by where I live. And yes, I have the same background at the beach as I do at our Villages safe house. But anyway, all of that to say, I was trying to get back on track and I was like, okay, my hour walk in the morning. Then I come back and I do these videos, Fabulous Over 50 with Shelly that I love. Then I do my hour of reading and prayer and devotional. And it just sets the stage. I actually work better if I just work 10 to 2 or 10 to 4, but I take a couple hours in the morning to get ready, do all my devotional, do my exercise, take my shower, get dressed, and then show up at my desk. And so yesterday I just felt so good, like, I've got it, no excuses. When I'm in town, I'm going to be on track. And then today happened. My dog, I think, kicked some sand up into his eye when we were at the beach, and then he's been scratching it. So at first it was watery, but this morning he literally couldn't get out of bed and it was just full of goop and he kept it closed. And I was like, I got to call a vet. I don't have a vet here. So finding a vet that was open. And by the time I got him in at, what time did I go this morning? 10:30 this morning was the first opening. They opened his eye and it was so swollen, just bulging. And he said basically he had scratched off the whole first layer of his eye. And I just spent the whole morning at the hospital, then the whole afternoon in bed holding him, and he's got a cone on. So he's super frustrated trying to get it off. He got it off once today. He's kind of a Houdini. He squeezes himself down and pulls out. And so his eyes just in so much pain, 2 drops, 2 medications, hoping it heals on its own and we don't have to do anything serious. But I was going to hold him up. Greg just took him outside to go to the bathroom, but disruption happens, right? Like it just does from our routine. And as I was sitting there holding him this morning, I was like, I got to do something. I just want to be back on track. And I found on YouTube, as I was sitting in bed holding him, an 8-minute workout, arms only with no weights. And I just thought it's about adapting, right? Like, so I didn't get to do my hour walk. I didn't get to do my hour videos or 45 minutes or whatever, but I could still do something. So I was like, okay, acknowledge that this is a disruption, but it doesn't have to stop me. It doesn't have to define me. So I did 8-minute arms, which I know is not much. And definitely have fallen off track with that in the last 5 years. I can't even blame COVID. There's so many things that have happened over the last 5 years. But I was like, okay, you have to just acknowledge it happened. So now I'm at my desk tonight with him next to me on the chair, sitting on a blanket. You can bring him to me. It's okay. Sitting on the blanket because he has to be right next to me with his cone on. Let me take my boy. I'll show you my sweet boy. He's not feeling well. He hates that cone. He's hoping his friends don't make fun of him. And he tries to pull it off. He can't even open that eye. It's his left eye. So how do you adapt when these things happen? You can kind of shut down and let that disruption define you, or you can go, okay, what can I do? So I sit in bed, watch something, learn something, post something, which I don't really understand how Instagram works, but I guess I posted on Instagram, but then somehow it went on to Facebook. So I don't know, but that's what happened. Adapt, acknowledge the disruption, and then try to get back on track. You might not be able to do it perfectly, but just getting back on track some helps you feel better. So do an 8-minute workout instead of an hour walk and a half-hour video. Do, work at night instead of working during the day, even though he just feels miserable. So we just had to give him another pain pill. Hold your dog and type with one hand. I don't know. I mean, I just think there's always going to be disruption. As long as we're alive, there's going to be things that disrupt our lives. So how do we deal with them? And I find it somewhat interesting that the more I speak about and write about disruption, the more I'm fully aware that it comes in lots of ways, professionally and personally, every day. And it's not necessarily that we can change or stop those disruptions, though some we choose, but even those ones can be challenging. But what it is how do we deal with the disruption? How do we deal with it? And how do we deal and not let it define us or devastate us, right? Not define us or devastate us, but instead allow us to adapt. So, and adopt and look for good ways to deal with it. So, anyway, just wanted to reach out and say that whatever disruption you're dealing with, whether you choose it or it chooses you, whether it's minimal or major, I hope you will find a way to adapt and keep moving forward with self care and getting your work done so that you can live the life you are created to live. So I'm Annie, and I help people go from being stuck to soaring in their lives. Thanks for listening, and hope to meet you in person soon.